Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome you all to our commission meeting. This is a special meeting. I'll call a meeting to order. It's 4:05. Invocation, can everybody stand? And Adrian, would you do us the honor, please?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Heavenly Father, bless us today with the hard decisions that this board has to make. And please grant them wisdom, grant us all wisdom to make the right decisions and do the people's work. We pray in Jesus' name.
Amen. Keep standing, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico and see a symbol of perfect friendship among the United States. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Aguilar,
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Chair Secretary,
Here, ma'am.
Commissioner Duggins. He just walked in.
Yeah,
maybe.
Commissioner Gonzalez,
whole family today.
Here.
How are you?
Chair Martinez.
President, ma'am.
Come here, baby. How are you? You doing all right?
The next item is approval of agenda. I need a motion to approve the agenda as presented unless you have any changes or recommend any changes, commissioners.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Commissioner Saleh,
Second.
second by Commissioner Duggan. Any further discussion on the motion and the second? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. Before we go on to the new business, we're here for a reason, and you've seen the agenda. But for our guests from Santa Fe, do you know the commissioners here? Nancy?
Mr. Chairman, I introduced myself earlier, but not to.
Okay, introduce the lady that came with you, and then each commissioner can introduce themselves to you guys. You're our guest today.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Monica Abeto. I'm the Executive Director of the North Central Economic Development District. We're the Council of Governments for the North Central part of the state, so kind of like the South Central COG down here. And with me is Nancy Arias Macias, our Assistant Director for Non-Metro AAA. Thank you very much for having us and for scheduling this special meeting to discuss this issue. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Commissioners, can you introduce yourselves?
John Aguilar, District 3. Craig Secretarial, District 2.
And I'm Glenn Duggan with my little baby star here today.
Joe Gonzalez, District 1.
And you know me, Manicaso Ray Martinez. Salina, can you introduce your staff? These are the people that work for our senior centers, some of them.
Some of them are here today. A lot of them are out sick. So I'm Selena, I'm the director. Donalda Ross is the site manager in Bogota. Ashley works here in the Socorro Center. Ashley Rosas. Linda Matas is the site manager here in Socorro. Linda works with the foster grandparent senior companion program. Cheyenne Paulus works here in the Socorro Center.
Thank you. And you know, today I got an email from Mike that we had some employees sick at the center. There was 3 that were sick, 1 that was on vacation, and afterwards I heard that 1 had the COVID. So, but these ladies stepped in. The person that was on vacation withdrew her vacation to come and help. So I want the people to know that these are caring people and they take care of our seniors a lot. So thank you for doing what you do every day. Thank you so much. Okay, item 7, new business presentation by New Mexico Era Agency on Aging Senior Program.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. We already did our introductions, as we know, and I did want to send our regrets from our AAA director, Neil Savana. He's actually sick as well. So we're not sure if it's flu or COVID, but he had a high fever, so he's not here blessing us all with that today. So what we provided on Friday for the board packet was really just a general letter describing what the county's current commitment is to the senior program here in Socorro County. As you know, the contract for Socorro County to operate the program was terminated. We have a 30-day period to kind of figure out how we move forward together, hopefully. And the date for that would be March 17th is the 30-day period. We are looking to find another provider who can step in and offer services. We don't have that fully in place yet. I think they will need to come before you with a formal request, and I believe they already, the provider that we're talking to, I believe already discussed this with the county manager previously, and I think that proposal was presented to you. But what we would like to talk about more generally right now is the commitments that the county has in place. We're having the same conversations with the city to see if those commitments would carry over to a new provider. It's kind of hard for them to come up with a proposal unless they know what kind of resources will be available for them to provide the services. So that's what we really wanted to discuss today. Right now for fiscal year 23, Socorro County has basically committed to I believe it's 151,000 in funds, is that correct? Mr. Bocc? Right around 150?
Well, not necessarily. That was under the past RFP before we decided to extend it into June. So the committal was actually closer to maybe 240,000 to get us through June, plus other costs. So probably the anticipated cost, if March 17th, we're probably at about 150, rough estimate.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hawkson. That's kind of what our accounting's record shows was that's about what you draw down on local funds, but we thought the full year commitment was 150. So I think that's what the provider has been assuming as well. The provider that's interested in the program, I think they're looking to see if there would be a continued cash commitment of 150,000. And of course, according to your budget, that's currently going to pay for things like utilities, vehicle insurance, maintenance on the buildings. Now, and as well as a use agreement for Vigita and Magdalena senior centers, which, as you know, is the income portion of the commitment in your budget. So those are the items that Socorro County is currently contributing toward the programs. The Socorro Senior Center is kind of interesting because it's owned by the city, and so the city is providing the use agreement, but you all are providing the maintenance and the utilities for that building. So currently that is in what you're contributing to the program. So we would be asking if you would consider doing that going forward, at least for the next year as we get this new program off the ground. But we know that that is owned by the city and we have to negotiate separately with the city for that building. So really we're here to answer any questions that you have. I know this is really general at this point, but we're happy to answer your questions and see if we can provide more information that would be helpful to the commission.
Any questions from the commissioners? From Monica.
My question is, when you said for the rest of the year, that's the fiscal year till June 30th?
Mr. Chairman and Commissioner Gonzalez, yes, that would be correct. But we'd also want to get a sense, I know you're not approving your budget today. This new provider's taking over, they're obviously looking at, a new fiscal year that starts July 1st. So if there was a intention for Socorro County to change this radically in fiscal year 24, it would be good to know that because that would really affect their ability to operate the program. I know you can't commit to that today, but we're asking you to think about fiscal year 24 as well.
Speaking for myself, for us to commit to 24, we would need to know what kind of funding we're getting from the state. Do you have any insight on that?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Gonzalez, the money for the program would no longer come to Socorro County. So it would go to the new provider, and we would be looking at probably initially a flat budget until we know how things, kind of shake out. They have a different cost structure than the county. For example, they don't use the para-retirement system. They're probably going to hire fewer staff. So their cost structure is going to be a little different. It could be more or less than what the county uses to run the programs now. We just don't know that. So basically, we would probably start with a flat budget of federal and state funds with the provider. What happens in situations like this, there are 56 providers that contract with us throughout the state. About 75% of them are local governments like yourselves, and you operate the programs directly. The other 25% are like nonprofits. So to give you an example, up in Colfax County, there's a nonprofit provider, and they provide services to the seniors at about 5 different senior centers. Some of them are in Colfax County, some of them are in Mora County. And they go to each one of those local governments and they request a contribution of financial support and of in-kind support. And so, for example, that provider, Colfax County Seniors, signs use agreements with Wagon Mound and Mora for the use of their senior centers. And then Colfax County, and I also believe those municipalities, chip in actual cash dollars. So that's what this situation is going to look like going forward. The county will be operating the program, but this new operator will basically be coming to the county and city asking for resources in order to serve the residents of Socorro County. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am. Mike, do
Yes.
you have a comment?
I would just like to go over some of the numbers of what the state is proposing. This is almost the exact same proposal that we had with Adelante. The exception is that now they're wanting an additional 48,005 for needed raises. And it says, you can see up here, $15 per hour. And there's nothing in there that showed, when they made this analysis, there's nothing that shows that they included other personnel that we had to raise to prevent grade creep and or compaction. And as you can see, they're asking either the city or the county to pitch in, not the nonprofit. And in reality, so what they're asking for the remaining, these numbers were developed to go from January 23 to June of 23 without the 48.5. And we're looking at about 200 and some thousand for that 6 months. That doesn't include the 48.5 that they're now saying that somebody will have to pitch in. In addition to what they're forgetting about at Socorro, and they said they would have to figure out with the city of Socorro senior centers is connectivity. They absolutely need internet, utilities, insurance coverage on the buildings and the vehicles. We just had another break-in where they used a battery sawzall, cut through the chain link fence, and stole 7 catalytic converters. If they're requesting the county to carry that insurance coverage, then who's responsible for the deductible maintenance? As far as I know, we do all the maintenance. Foodstuff contractor, the outstanding ICIPs that we have, who's gonna fulfill those, and even the new ones that we put in for, and it looks like they'll probably be delivered. Those are just some of the tentacles of how far this reaches in and the complexities within there. So, and it was not us that gave us a 30-day deadline, it was the state. So when they're proposing stuff, it's almost like it's half there, and they're asking us to make a decision based on half information and possible proposals of what we can or cannot do, or what you're willing to do, without having the hard numbers in front of us, and what does that mean? So that's what I'm reading from the paperwork that's in this.
Go ahead, Monica.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I just wanted to respond. I did speak with Michael Hawks before the meeting with Mr. Hawks and let him know that Adelanta sent us 3 proposals kind of late in the day on Friday that are all different. And so he's referring to one of them, which we cannot actually implement because it just talks about providing home delivered meals. And so we're not actually able to entertain that proposal from them. What I really wanted to just focus on today was the current commitments that the county has made and to see if there was, a general agreement that you would be willing to continue those commitments so that we can go back to the provider and hammer out something more specific to bring you for approval. So we know this isn't specific enough for you to, say, great, this looks great, every single detail is covered here. But it's hard for them to come up with a proposal if they don't know what resources are going to go into the program. If they don't know if they're going to be able to use the facilities, if they don't know if there's going to be a cash commitment, those types of things have to be factored into their proposals. So I was suggesting to Mr. Hawks before the meeting that we not get too in the weeds with these proposals because we're really going to have to sit down with them and hammer out the details.
Okay, let me make one comment. Monica, okay, if there is no commitment from the county, in kind or money-wise, do you think the contractor will still want to do it? Who would foot that bill? Who would foot the part that we're footing?
Mr. Chairman, we don't have a alternative source for that. There's not an alternative, we'll go and use this pot of money over here. So I doubt that they would be interested in, as you saw in the proposal that they provided last month, it said that it depended on support from the city and the county. So I doubt that they would continue to be interested in this option.
Okay, I have some more questions, but Commissioner Stevens.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, what brought us here? What happened?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, with all due respect, we've been working for about 2 years now, I think, with Mr. Hawks. He's been very concerned that the county is putting in more than its share of resources into the program. So we've been working on different solutions where that could maybe look different. As you know, I was putting out the number 150. I thought that's what the county's commitment was going to be this year. We've been last year, I believe the committed amount was 66,000. We don't have access to your audit to see actually what went in last year, but we've been trying to back off on the county a little bit. We've been trying to provide some suggestions in terms of operations and making things run a little leaner. But what finally happened this last couple months, as you know, is that the county started using inmates in the senior center to prepare and serve meals without notifying us. We were never allowed to review that plan or discuss the implications or any other kind of parameters that we needed to put in place with the county. We found out about it secondhand. And so at that point, I personally felt that the liability to our organization, the state, and to the seniors was too high. There are some very serious safety and welfare issues involved with that. And so that's what caused us to terminate the contract.
So you say inmates, we used, it's my understanding, trustees, they had food safety handling, they'd been in the detention center, in the kitchens, in the laundry rooms and such as that. And we've been trying to work with the state, and a minute ago you mentioned there's no other pool of money. There's like $5 billion up there in Santa Fe. And if you, the state, decided what we were doing was not sufficient and pulled the plug, it's your baby. You bought it, and you need to find the money. And our employees there, I think you owe them something. I mean, you basically put it to a stop. And I don't understand for the life of me why using trustees is not a good thing. I hear the seniors liked it. We're teaching the trustees a trade You know, I've seen these guys that have basically grown up in the state's house and they just can't function. It was a win-win situation. Nevertheless, you're the state. You said no, you don't like it. Well, to me, then you come run it. We've asked many times for help, and you really, to me, it's sort of a slap in the face. I get it in my business too. I'm a farmer, and a non-farmer is going to come tell me how to run my farm, and the state comes and tells us how to be more efficient and be, I don't know, do more with less. It's not in the business. I mean, these girls, these senior citizens, they do a good job. I guess I'll stop there, but.
Mr. Chairman, can I respond to?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So I just want to clarify that we are not the state. We are a agency that's contracted with the state to run the program. So we don't have access to the state's dollars. We don't make decisions about the state's dollars. The state gives us a contract that has a finite amount of federal and state dollars in it, and we do our best to fund 56 different providers and 130 senior centers across the state. And we have been working with Mr. Hawks and staff, and maybe you don't agree that the assistance we provided is valuable or helpful, but we do have experience in this area. We do run, or I wouldn't say operate, but we do administer a lot of senior services, and I think we do have some expertise in this area. I'm trying to think of what else I wanted to discuss. Anyway, we appreciate the work that the staff does, like we do at any senior center. It's extremely hard work. We acknowledge that. And honestly, if I thought that there would have been a better path forward, we could have taken it. There are many situations, or some situations perhaps, where the use of trustees would have been appropriate. And we would have been happy to review that and worked with the county on that. But we found out about this after the fact. We ran the names we had through New Mexico courts, and these did not seem like individuals that were safe to be working in a single center. That's all review that should have been done ahead of time. I don't really know that we need to go through all of this in public session, but if we had been informed ahead of time, we could have done that review, discussed it with Mr. Hawks, figured out a plan forward, but we were not given the benefit of that. We only found out about it after the fact. And so that is the real problem here. I don't know if it was appropriate or not appropriate. We really didn't have time we were not given the opportunity to review it as we should have been.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner.
from my understanding, going forward for 24, the option of the county still running it is off the table. You're just looking for our commitments for a third-party vendor. Is that where we're at?
Mr. Chairman, we think that would be the best path forward, honestly.
Where I was going with that, with the inmate situation, if the concern was with the inmates at the facilities, if they were to do food preparation away from the facilities and not, in your opinion, be around the seniors, would that be something acceptable? But if we're beyond that, then we're beyond that.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner, I feel like with our discussions with the state at this juncture, I think that we're beyond that point. I wish we weren't, but I feel like we are.
Thank you.
Commissioner. That's what I would.
So it was the state that made the decision, it sounds like.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Duggins, it was our decision to make, but we have to consult the state. They are the entity that contracts with us. They've been working with us this whole time with Mr. Hawks, so.
And is that right, Manager Hawks, that we didn't have any incidents with this? I mean, it was working smoothly.
Actually, I have Dina here, who was involved in the RISE program, and that's a great way to reintegrate people back into the community. They were helping fund it and back it. I have jail administrator Eddie Garcia here, where he received tons of compliments. We have employees here who received tons of compliments that from the grandfathers, from the uncles, the aunts, the nieces that saw these people working. And within that, I mean, the NMAAA seems like they said that they made a decision, but of course they had to run it up to state and they were pretty much told to take action. But within that, in our contract, there is a cure clause. And when I was told, okay, well, you need to cease and desist, I think it was an hour, not even an hour, once I got the word. And again, they pulled the contract without cause. They used that subsection. So, again, you know, those are all different categories of what ifs and wherefores. But where we're at today is the state, along with NMAAA, want to award the RFP to Adelante that they were going to award it to a while back. And when Nancy makes reference to she's been working with me with 2 years, it's been about a year and a half. But within that, their first condition was, well, maybe your costs are so high because you need training. And they came in, they did a review, we opened up everything. They said, oh, it's not training, you guys are doing everything you need to do. You're effective and efficient. Then they said, well, you must be doing something with your budget. You're just not spending your money right. They came in, they had an analyst come in, we opened up all our books and they said, the cost is what it is. You don't have exorbitant expenditures, you spend money where you have to spend it. And then lo and behold, we're here where we're at today. So, and that's where we're at. And they definitely want a different RFP. And looks like Adelante is their choice. She mentioned that there's 56 throughout the state. I believe there might be more than that, but within that, if she can name like any center, like this isn't new news that the center program, whoever runs it, a nonprofit, a municipality, or a county, they always have to pitch money in. So to me, that would be that, and Nancy's between a rock and a hard place because she has to ask the state for money, there's no way this decision could have been made unless the state pushed it. So the point is that it's a state mandate, it's a state program, they don't fund it. We've been sounding the horn for at least a year and a half. I can give you other counties, nonprofits, even the analyst that they used, he ran 2 in Colfax County. He even said that he used to have to go to the county, each county, for about $150,000 a year. So it's not new news that the funds aren't sufficient. The point always was that with additional cost and the rising cost of foodstuff, fuel, and everything else, and the state wanting us to raise everybody to $15 an hour, which is exponential because you have to raise everybody else, that our anticipated costs were going to climb to over $550,000 in the year 22, 23, and even more so 23, 24. So that's where we're at. I think it's sort of almost disingenuous when they're asking you to commit, when if the city's going to commit to giving them the center, are they going to commit to paying the utilities, the maintenance, connectivity, the insurance, all maintaining the ICIP? And within that also is they want us to be the fiscal agent, which we have been, and then myself and Sammy are constantly working on. So that's why they come up with these numbers about in-kind and cash commitment, and then additional funds needed for salaries. And within that, the limited number of hours now that the new RFP person will move forward on. Also, one last caveat is throughout the entire process, the state Adelante, and their analyst said, you probably should consider getting rid of Summit. And we knew from past experience in analyzing Summit that the minute we got rid of them, our employees would be called upon to multitask and to do things above and beyond their current job descriptions. We did that utilizing their recommendation and their analysts. That's what happened. Our workers had to start coming in at 6 a.m. just to try to help with food prep. They began overwhelmed, and that's why they sought help from somewhere else. Yeah, was there not contact, which should have happened? I totally agree with that. But that in itself is not an issue that in my eyes, and I've been in law enforcement, I was in law enforcement for 24 years and management for 30 years. That act was not so egregious, and the cure was rapid and effective and efficient, that this would not have occurred if they would have said, okay, you need your hand slapped, let's take a look at it, and let's see how we proceed from here. But they didn't. And now they want you to commit with their time frame of 30 days and not providing you all the information that you need to give them some type of commitment. That's how I see it.
Any other comments from the commissioners?
Well, my comment is kind of that I think we're both at a wait and see, which is basically a budgetary process. So my comment is, I'd like to see the proposal you guys come up with and to see what degree in the budgetary process we can commit to supporting the senior program. That's where I feel we're at myself.
Commissioners and Monica and Selena, I've been on the advisory board for the senior citizens since I started as a commissioner. Monica, you've seen me in most of the meetings, and I was honorably elected the chair of that committee. I felt it was a big honor. And every meeting that I went, I discussed, the money situation for our county. And I asked the other counties how they were. And we weren't the only ones that were needing help. We discussed it. My job was to tell the commission where we were with budget. He said, this is what it's going to cost us this year to run the senior centers. We have done that every year. I've been a commissioner for 6 years, but even before that, the past commissioners have always put money in to keep it going. He said, I don't know for next year, if you guys want to continue, we're going to find it somewhere, but we're not going to be able to hire people in the other departments that we need, people that we are mandated by the state to maintain, like the road department, the detention center. So we as commissioners, the past commissioner that was here, Commissioner Anaya, knew our lieutenant governor real well. He said, let me make some calls and we'll start working. So he did. And we set up a meeting. Our governor came to Socorro, and I met her there at the plaza. She came to give an electric charger to the city. You were there that day. And we met, and I asked her, I said, I hear there's a lot of money this year coming to the state. Will you be able to help us? And she said, as long as I'm governor, I will do whatever I can for our seniors and our veterans. So I said, okay. And we kept on. We had commission meetings. When the RFP was going to expire, the commission, I tell them, let's wait a little longer. Let's fund it for another 6 months, because I really feel this legislature that we're going to get some money, either from our governor and our representatives. I even talked to our representative, and one of them told me, I will help you. So I was looking forward to getting that money. And then we get I knew what happened when we had the detention center there. I saw emails going back and forth. I saw Mike send emails to the director. Well, I want to see protocols of how's this gonna work, because I want to make sure it's safe. And then eventually, I guess you give him the approval and it went.
I didn't know it would. I actually didn't know it had been in
Okay,
the day.
well, and when Neil called me, he said, "Well, this happened, Ray, did you know?" And I said, well, I saw the emails going back and forth. But I told him, Neil, we did something wrong, then we'll admit guilt. I said, if we did something wrong. But please give us a chance, slap us in the hand, put us on probation, do whatever you need to. But please don't cut us this way, because I think we can do it, we might have made a mistake. I don't know. I don't know how I was working with the detention personnel, but I feel if it was helping them also rehabilitate, I think it was worthwhile if it was being done safely. But, and I ask again, would there be a chance that we could keep it? If my thing now is, like Commissioner Gonzalez said, need to see numbers. For me to be able to vote, I want to see exact numbers of how much we got to contribute, in kind, everything. So we know exactly. When we were running it, we knew exactly how much we were going to put in to keep it going. And I want to know what the contractor is going to commit also. And the city, we have no say so for the city. They can do whatever, if they want to rent the building to the contractor or whatever, that's up their call. But the other two facilities, I want to see numbers of how much it's going to cost us if we pay the insurance, the utilities, everything. I want to see exact numbers so I can vote. I'm only one commissioner, but so I can have a justifiable vote to see if we can help. That's my commitment. And I also want to thank you, Neil, and everybody, because I know you came down a few times to help us. And I think we need to continue that. I think we need to continue working together, because the purpose of this program is to feed our seniors and veterans. They've paid their dues. Continue to pay taxes. That's a very good program. It is very good. You go to any senior center, it's very good. So I was when I saw the proposal that they were going to cut the hours, some of these people come and they work on puzzles, they work on the computer, they play pool, they communicate. By cutting those hours, that also is going to hurt, I think. Where now it was open till 3:00, so they know from 7 to 3 they could be there doing whatever. So I know it costs more, and my other thing is 12 employees. There's some right there that come March 17th, they won't have a job. That's what hurts me about some of these employees have been here a long time. So I'm asking again, let's get those numbers and let's see if we can get money and see if they give it back to us.
Mr. Chairman, do you mind if I respond?
No, ma'am.
So I'm honestly not here to argue with anybody. I want us to figure out a path forward. But I do feel like some of the things that are being stated are just not correct. And so, first of all, I just need to explain, as I have many times before, that the design of this program includes a local match. We're not singling out Socorro County or any local government to provide a local match. It is an act at the federal level called the Older Americans Act. That's the program that we run. It anticipates that there will be a match from the state, and I believe the state overmatches the federal money by about 2 to 1. I believe the state money doubles what is given by the feds. The feds are actually the lowest contributor to this program, if we want to point fingers. And then it anticipates that the communities that are served with these services, with those federal and state dollars, will also put in a contribution, both of their in-kind resources like buildings and of cash. So we are not asking Socorro County to do something that another county isn't doing. And we're not coming to you, yes, I will agree, and I've agreed with Mr. Fox all along, this program is underfunded. It's underfunded in every single senior center in this state. And we requested 7.5 million from the legislature. We might get an additional 4.5, maybe. But we're not gonna get the 7.5 we requested. I don't know how to fix that. I've been talking to all the legislators I can the entire session. I mean, we are on your sides with this. We don't disagree with that at all. However, what I'm trying to say is that, this is a situation that's going on in all of our centers. We all have to work together to get the funds where they need to be. The other thing is with the aging population that we have, I can't tell you if we had $10 million, we would be there. We have more and more seniors with more and more complex needs all the time. And so it's a difficult situation. So I just want to emphasize that about the local share. We're not coming to you and asking you to give more every year. In fact, we've been trying to decrease the amount that Socorro County puts into the program because of the concerns that Mr. Hawks has raised. I did see that originally it did look like a higher percentage than some other programs your size, but we're getting it to a better place. So that has been something that we have very much listened to and tried to work with. When we talk about some of these numbers, you all submit a budget to us, and we're basically working off of your budget numbers. We're not inventing new numbers here. We're working off of the numbers you give us for utilities, maintenance, insurance, the numbers in your budget, and the numbers you gave us for staffing. So if you raise the salaries of your employees, we're trying to carry that over. No one's mandating anyone to pay $15 an hour. We were hoping with this new money coming from the state that everyone could raise their wages to that, but we're not mandating that. I just want to be clear. And so just for clarity, the specific numbers we're asking your consideration on is, will you continue to provide roughly $150,000 a year in cash contributions to the program and roughly $90,000 a year in in-kind contributions, which includes the use of the two centers. We will figure out, there's a lot of other things, as Mr. Hawks has described, that need to be figured out, like which assets were purchased with funds from this program. There are vehicles involved and other things, but we will have to do that with the state because they're the ones who have that information. So those are the two things we're asking for. Once we have those two components, then we can really work with the provider to develop a plan. I also want to emphasize that we talk to the providers that are in this general area about their interest in taking this on. We didn't just go to this one provider who we like. We talked to PMS actually first because they have a better physical presence here, but they weren't willing to do it. So then we had to talk to some other providers that were, in the general vicinity. These are already providers that are with us. They've already been through the RFP process. They already know how to run these programs. That's how we came to this point. It's not that this is the only entity we talked to, but this is the only entity that was willing to entertain doing this. This is not a money-making business. This is hard work, as you all have seen, and I know as your staff knows. This is not a glamorous program to run. It's not like we have 40 providers sitting outside wanting to do this. So this was the one provider that said they might work with us to develop a program.
Thanks, Monica. Within that, this, like I mentioned earlier, this is almost the exact same commitment that I presented to the commission once before. And within that was the caveat and discussed with Adelante is the possibility of our employees being employed. Adelante said they probably couldn't employ out 12. I think 2 transportation people would be gone and maybe another one. So maybe 9, maybe 10. So I would like to know if, since that was the commitment and the offer back then, $150K and $90K in kind, if that same type of assurance is available that Adelante had identified the possible employees and they even recognized that it would behoove them to bring them on board. I'd like to know if that's a possibility for the commission to consider.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Hawks, I believe that they're open to all of the employees applying to Adelante, and I think what they said, and so I'm not from Adelante, I don't want to misrepresent them. They have health benefits, they have a retirement plan, they don't have para insurance. I don't know if they're guaranteeing that every single employee would be rehired or which ones, but I know they're very concerned about staffing And I know that they would take a very good look at all the existing employees. Obviously, it's would be a wonderful thing if we could make that happen.
Any other comments, commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, maybe we better find out, I mean, you want something kind of hard from us. Maybe we better find out just how hard their offer is for our employees. I mean,
Nice to keep them all.
Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to ask them that. But that's what they've conveyed. Commissioner Jones.
I think I had a question.
Athena?
Yes. I just feel that everybody's kind of between a rock and a hard place here. And I can only imagine what we're dealing with and what we're all dealing with. But just on behalf of the RISE program that is funded through HSD, Health and Human Services, the BHSD from Santa Fe, it is a state-funded program, and the detention center. I just feel like I kind of need to clear our name for a second, even though it has nothing to do with this, but just, I sort of feel like that it wasn't assumed that we would follow through every single correctional facility guideline, detention center guideline, to ensure the safety of everybody. And I know that the administrator, dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's to ensure in our program, safety went first. That was the first thing, and I'm sure that the detentions, that the senior center could also follow through on all the safety measures that were taken. So yes, if you look at people's background checks that are at the detention center, well, are they going to be golden? Absolutely not, but that's the whole point of the program, is for them to give back. And yes, protocol may not have been followed, but I just want to say, just for the detention center and for our county manager and for myself, safety was always first and foremost. And so I just feel like I had to just put that out there, and also because they do such a good job, they were certified, we got them closed, the safety measures were put into place, everybody was super happy, it saves money, it gives them something to wake up for. They cried when the plug was pulled, they really did, and so that little portion of this much bigger financial situation, I just needed to kind of put it on the record that we followed every single protocol that was necessary just to ensure the safety of the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I think it's safe to say, I hope you, yourself and Eddie would relate to these people, I don't know who they were, that came from the detention center, that I, for one, am behind them. I wish there was more we could do for them like this. And I would suspect this commission is right there too. It's a good thing. And maybe it didn't please whoever in Santa Fe it needed to, but maybe Santa Fe better wake up. And if I took a business over, basically it's what's happening. And if I didn't know what I was walking into, well, maybe I should have known before I pulled the plug. And that's just where I'm at. I mean, they have the money. We don't. We have mandates that we're neglecting. And this is not our mandate. And we were there, we were helping, we were doing it out of the goodness of our hearts, like all counties were, or most. It's just one of those things that the state wants to do, mandate, and they don't write the check.
Well,
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Duggins, I just wanted to, I was roughly familiar with Socorro County's RISE program just because I've seen some presentations of the Association of Counties. We ourselves at North Central just got a pretty significant workforce grant, like one of 32 in the nation, to help place formerly incarcerated individuals and people coming out of recovery treatment into jobs in the trades and healthcare industries. Like we're we're on board with the idea behind this, but we were not consulted and we were not allowed to work with the county to put together protocols that would have been acceptable. And, this is one thing that happened in addition to a lot of things over the past year and a half, with the county manager being unhappy with the budget, saying we cannot afford to run this program this way, this is not working for us. And we felt like maybe it's time to give someone a chance to run the program. So, we wish we would have been consulted. We wish we could have sat down with Athena and understood what all of the thought was that went into this. But, the fact that we were not consulted at all was just mind-blowing to us. Also, we had no idea that the summit contract was canceled until the commission, like a little bit after the commission had decided that. We would have made efforts to bring in our nutritionists to do some training with the staff. It's just like the communication was not good on any of these transitions. And we needed to be part of those decisions and that training that needed to happen. So I just want you to know I don't have anything against this program. Had we had the chance to review it properly.
Monica, if I understood you correctly a while ago, the contractor is asking for $150,000 from the county, money-wise, right? And $90,000 in kind, which would be a total of $240,000. And you're gonna ask if they would keep 9 employees or 10? I mean, because they had said that they would let 2 go with the proposal they gave us.
Mr. Chairman, I would ask them if, what consideration they could make for the employees. I can't commit to them on their behalf, as you know,
For the employees,
but I will ask them.
okay?
Mr. Chair, that commitment was with the understanding that we would get rid of some. So it was the idea of getting rid of Summit was one promulgated by the state and then took away and their analyst.
Okay,
And Mr. Chairman, this is the only program in the state that was run with outside food service and having a full staff. So that is why it's not that we are, again, it's the only program that was being run that way. And so when you have a full staff, plus you have a food service provider, we thought that that would assist with the operations, to have one or the other. We do have another provider in the state that does outsource their food service, but they don't have a staff. They don't have a kitchen staff. They just receive the meals directly and then they're distributed that way. So this is a unique model and that was our recommendation. That's correct.
okay.
If you don't mind me asking, what type of staff does that other program have?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask Nancy to address that question.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Gonzalez, they have kitchen aides. So they bring staff in, they call them kitchen aides. They're there during the serving time and they deliver meals. So they have home delivery and congregate service. Does that make sense? So they're part of
Yeah, it makes sense, but.
they're not preparing the meals, they're just serving. They either do the serving or the delivery.
Monica, I have one more question. We're gonna go into executive session. I don't know if you'll still be around when we come up. But what if nothing is in place by March 17th? March 17th, our employees are gonna be gone. Say that there's nothing in place. What will happen to be able to feed our seniors after March 17th? If there's no contract in place, what will happen?
Mr. Chairman, we have some, kind of not great, but some solutions for the interim where the seniors would be delivered meals. Doesn't mean the senior centers would be open, but where they would receive the meals that they're currently contracted for. So we have that in place as one option. We could look at extending out a little longer to get something in place that's acceptable to everybody. I haven't discussed that with anybody. I haven't discussed that with the state. I haven't discussed that with Neil or Nancy, but I was involved in a transition with Catron County Commission on Aging when I first started this job. And we did have to do some extensions to get us to the place where we needed to be to make the transition. So that has been something that we've done in the past.
And I'm glad that would be, that's what I was looking for, that there's a possibility that it could continue an extension.
We could look at that, Mr. Chairman, especially if we don't have something solid in place, but, you know, we obviously know that leaves a lot of people in the lurch, that leaves the staff in the lurch, that's not a great solution either, so I think there's some, reasons we should move forward with planning and seeing how what we wanna do.
Yes, ma'am. Any further questions before we go into executive session?
Mr. Chairman, I just gotta say, I'm sure you're nice ladies. There's nothing personal about it. I mean, really, it's, I just wanna make that clear. It's not anything with anybody.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Duggins, we feel the same way. We want to work in partnership with the county. We're here to see what is best for the seniors and also for the staff. I know it doesn't seem that way, but we do care, obviously, about what happens here. And so, you know, it's not an easy situation. This is why we get paid the big bucks, right? We're here doing our jobs, but we want to work in partnership with you. So thank you for having this meeting to hear about everything that's going on.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you. I need a motion and roll call vote to go into executive session.
Motion made.
Motion by Commissioner Duggins, second by Commissioner Secretarial. And only the following matters will be discussed in closed session. A, pending or threatening litigation. I, New Mexico AAA. B, competitive sale proposals. 1, the senior program RFP, New Mexico AAA. Okay, roll call vote.
Commissioner Avila? Vice Chair Secretary?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Duggins?
Yeah.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Yes.
Chair Martinez?
Yes, ma'am. We are now in executive session.
We're live.
Okay, I need a motion and vote to return to regular session.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Gonzalez,
Second.
second by Commissioner Secretarial. Roll call vote?
Commissioner Aguilar,
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Chair Secretarial,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Duggins,
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez,
Yes.
Chair Martinez.
Yes, ma'am. We'll go to item 9A, direction to staff regarding senior program. Mike, can you discuss what was approved by the commission?
Well, there was no,
No action yet.
no action was taken, in executive session, just for the record. But the direction to staff regarding the senior program and to Monica is that, the county will allow the use of the buildings in Magdalena and Villita. We have control over those. Without the cost of utilities being absorbed by, or any other cost to the buildings being absorbed by the county, and a match that will match the city of Socorro at $15,000 in cash. Within that offer is if the provider is open to employing county employees.
Any questions, Monica?
You need that in the form of a motion.
Okay. Thank you, Adrian. I need a motion on the direction that our manager gave Monica on regarding the senior program. Motion by Commissioner Gonzalez,
Second.
second by Commissioner Duggins. Any other comments on the motion and the second? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, signify by saying nay. Hearing none, direction and staff regarding senior program is approved on what Mike gave the state. Item B, consideration of resolution 2023-27, opposing litigation redistricting a constitutional right to bear arms. I would say trip that, Monica.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, this resolution before you was requested by the sheriff at the last meeting. And it's basically a stance opposing the four proposed gun bills that are currently before the legislature. If you have any questions, let me know.
Mr. Chairman, I would make the motion to approve this.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So on our packet, it says, resolution 2321, it says 2327, so I was wondering which number was correct.
29 sounds like.
29 is the correct one?
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion by Commissioner Duggins for this resolution.
To be approved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Aguilar. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
You opposed to it?
Yeah.
Commissioner Gonzalez is opposed to it. And, but resolution passes. Okay, next commission meeting is February 28th at 5 p.m. Need a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Commissioner Secretarial,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Gonzalez. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.